Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Whitfield Report, special Black Friday edition of the show. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, recording this on Black Friday 2019 here at NGC Studios, and I hope you guys are doing well whenever you're listening to this in the past, present, future hour. Hope your Thanksgiving holiday went well. I know mine did, and first of all, I know I promised this show on Wednesday before the holiday kicked off, and I apologize, but I had some stuff I had to deal with school and some other IRL stuff on Wednesday that took precedent. Obviously Thursday, which is when I usually do the podcast, that was the holiday. And, I know that some, podcasters out there, put, some content out there for Thanksgiving yesterday, but I didn't. There was no reason for me to. And really, if you, if you have, a good, family gathering, there's no reason to, be listening to podcasts on Thanksgiving, or Christmas for that matter. Hence why I always take a week before Christmas, up until New Year's. I always take that gap of time off, from doing the podcast, just to give myself some R&R from everything, including the podcast, and just kind of recharge my batteries. So we are coming up, at the end of the year, and we've done something 80 something episodes. I think this will be episode 82 or 83 of season 4 of the podcast. So we've done a great number of shows this year, and a lot of them have been good. Some of them have been terrible. But for the most part, they've all been really good. And, we've had some good bonus shows too, which, by the way, this is technically part of the Whitfield Report after show. And I actually, as some of you might know, I now have a podcast feed exclusively for the after show, as well. So that's its own podcast. And this will be a bonus episode on both the regular feed, and then it'll be a standard episode on the after show feed. I don't know what I'm going to do with the after show feed. I'll put up the after show, obviously, if when I do that, and then I might put up some other bonus material too. I don't know, but anyway, like I said, hope your Thanksgiving holiday went well. Mine went well. We had my grandmother over, and then my grandfather and his second wife on my mom's side, and then my cousins, or I guess my second cousins on my dad's side, came down here to where we're at in Florida. Even though my parents are divorced, basically my second cousins on my dad's side, they come down to vacation, and in Florida they're snowbirds, and my mom was gracious enough to invite them, and for the most part, the one thing I'm really grateful for about both my mom and dad is even though they got divorced, they're still amicable with each other, for the most part. and they're amicable towards each other's family members as well, which really helped me growing up, and is good. So and like I said, like my dad's cousins and my second cousins, like my mom invited them, here for Thanksgiving, so that was nice, and we just had like a really great time, for Thanksgiving, and like I love Christmas and New Year's are like my two favorite holidays, but like I like Thanksgiving too, obviously. I know some people don't, but I like it. It's not my favorite holiday, but that's like Christmas and New Year's. Those are my two favorite holidays, like I just said. But this Thanksgiving was really, I think it was one of the best I've had, by far. I just really had a good time, and I actually watched Avengers Endgame on my own last night. I didn't finish it. I forgot that was like a 3 hour movie, but I got into it a bit last night. I might finish it this afternoon after I finish recording this podcast, and then I've also got my mom and I are gonna watch The Irishman later tonight, which that movie is actually like 3.5 hours long, which wow, like The Godfather is 3 hours long, and so is Goodfellas, but man, this one is. I mean, I know it's an extra half hour, but still, like half an hour is half an hour. So like I think maybe this is the longest gangster movie out there. I'm not sure, the Irishman, but it looks good, and everyone I know who has already seen it, they've said it's really good. So, and I'm really into gangster films, as most longtime listeners know. The Godfather is one of my all time, if not my all time favorite films. Um, so The Irishman looks really good, and um, Martin Scorsese did a good job. And by the way, because people have brought this up over the past couple of months, so I figured since we're kind of doing like an off the cuff, kind of like informal podcast today, I figured I would kind of address this because people have been flipping out over Martin Scorsese saying that the DC that the Marvel movies and the DC movies and that the superhero movies aren't really cinema, right? And people are kind of like dismissing him as like being grumpy and being crotchety, or they're just like flipping out and being like, he's wrong. How dare he insult the Marvel movies by saying that they're not, cinema. That they're not like epic like his movies. I mean, in a way, he is right. And before you guys flip out on me and like accuse me of taking Scorsese's side, let me preface this by saying, as most of you know, I enjoy the Marvel movies, like so many of you do. I grew up, reading comic books and watching superhero movies before the MCU, became a thing, and before superhero movies, became cool. So I love superhero movies, but he is right that not all of them are cinema. Which I think it was more his point. It's like a lot of them are very good. There are some that aren't very cinematic. And I mean, obviously his definition of cinema kind of varies. They're still good movies, but like I don't. For one thing, a lot of the I don't think the Marvel movies are as gritty, as like the Dark Knight or something, and uh, they keep things kind of lightish or lighter, than like even the DC movies, and certainly more so than Scorsese's, movies. Um, the one thing about the Marvel movies too is you don't really go into like a Marvel movie and like dissect things like the color palette or like the soundtrack or anything like that. Like you don't like most people don't study the Marvel movies, right? They go in to be entertained for like an hour, although Endgame was close to like 3 hours, right? And so like I guess what Scorsese meant, at least how I, translated it, was like the Marvel movies aren't ones that you study, right? You enjoy them, but you don't like study them and break them down at like a cinematic level. At least I don't. And I don't necessarily know if he said that like in like a in like a mean and trashing way. That that I understand why some people thought that that was kind of the vibe he was going for, but I didn't really take it that way. But I still like the Marvel movies, but like in a strange way, I agree, and I will say the one exception is kind of like Endgame and Infinity War. I think those ones kind of could be, but again, like, will those be broken down, and like studied in film school? I think maybe that's what he meant by, cinematic or whatever, but um I don't know. Um just thought I'd address that since that, has kind of been like in the back of my mind for a while. So yeah, so there are movies. It's been a big month for entertainment just in general. Really like really the last 2 months if you think about it, like no November and in October have been big months in cinema for 2019. We had the Joker, which I still haven't seen Joker yet, and like here's the thing: I know it's the Joker, and I know that I know that it is a book movie, but I also know it's a horror movie, and I'm sorry, but like I'm just not one of these guys who can do like a horror movie in the theater, or like a slasher movie. I can't. Um, it's not because like I'm a bitch or anything. I know that there are some people who are like, oh, you're a pussy, or I just like action movies are one thing. Like psychological thrillers and horror movies are like another thing. I will watch it at home though. And I've I've read the reviews and I've even watched some spoiler reviews. So it I kind of know what happens, but I still think I'll enjoy it. I certainly think there was a lot of overreaction to it, but yeah, I mean, 2019's been a pretty good year for cinema. I know that people are really concerned with the Rise of Skywalker, the last Star Wars movie, and they're concerned about it maybe for good reason, because of the failure of the Last Jedi. And people are saying that this movie trilogy isn't as good that it makes the prequels look good. Well, like, here's the thing: people have been, shitting on the, you know, on the prequel trilogy for years and years and years. And there was never going to be a worse, series of films the uh, than the prequel trilogy, right? Um, Granted, the Last Jedi was controversial, but I don't know, man. Like, there are Star Wars fans like me who, like, granted, I can, point out, that yeah, obviously this sequel trilogy has flaws. Obviously, there are things that annoy me about Last Jedi. There are things that annoy me about, the prequel, trilogy too. And if we're being honest, there are plot holes in the original, in the original trilogy too. And it's not perfect, but like I enjoy Star Wars, for the sake of Star Wars. I'm not one of these people who like lets their life, get ruined by, because someone's interpretation of movies didn't exactly match up with mine. Although I will say, the one exception to that might be like if they were to make, like James Bond, God forbid, turn James Bond into like Jamie Bond, like do a female 007, or like somehow fundamentally like alter, 007 to make him more, SJW appropriate. I get that, annoys people, but even so, it's not like that would ruin my life by doing that. I mean, I'd be pissed, but I'd move on. So, you know, in regards to Star Wars, like I'm cautiously optimistic. It could be bad, it could be terrible. Uh, J.J. Abrams could also surprise us all and like knock it out of the park. And like, I don't want to go over, what the rumors are. But by now, if you're into the Star Wars movies, you probably already read the rumors, and I've read the same rumors you guys have. And if those rumors are true, well then we'll have to judge it once it comes out, and everyone has had a chance to see the thing. Like you know, um, for the Last Jedi, I remember there were like supposed spoiler leaks that like came out for the Last Jedi, and like some of the supposed leaks out there were better, than what we actually got. So that's the thing with movies is plot leaks. No matter how much some guy says that like they're an inside source and whatnot, it's probably not true. I mean, Disney probably has given like fake scripts and whatnot to several people just to see what they would do, just to see if they would try and like screw the company over and uh, give a manuscript over to some like press person or whatever, like as a loyalty test maybe. I don't know, but you know my advice to my fellow Star Wars fans is don't freak out. It'll be I think Rise of Skywalker will be okay. It might not be great, but I think it'll be better than everyone's kind of fearing. I don't think it's going to be absolutely terrible. Um, and like I know that there were some skeptics about the Mandalorian too, but the Mandalorian, and I was kind of skeptical of the Mandalorian that they would really like over sanitize it, and make it like a little too PG because it was Disney. But I mean, granted, it is like a little bit more kid friendly than say like Revenge of the Sith. like some of the old Republic comic books, but it's still really good in terms of like, an action packed series and whatnot. And especially episode 3. I mean, brief spoilers, for episode 3 of The Mandalorian, that battle, uh, in like the market square on the planet where he is, when he finally rescues the infant, like that was John Wick, meets like the Star Wars universe. That was, cool to watch. Uh, you know, we get to see like an actual Mandalorian, like, doing their thing, like, uh, like gaining their honor back and like, not giving a fuck and, like blasting other bounty hunters away. And I mean, it was just really cool to watch. So, who knows? I mean, I think we've all been pleasantly surprised by the Mandalorian, so who knows? We might be disappointed by the Rise of Skywalker. We might be, thrilled and agitated with what we get. We won't know until the actual um, release date. Is my point here. But anyway, I don't really have anything to review for you guys this week, just because with the holiday and whatnot. I was busy the day before Thanksgiving, like I said, with school stuff. And then, yesterday was the holiday. I'm going to watch some stuff tonight. Like I said, I'm going to try and finish Endgame. Maybe I'll review that, although I know it's kind of like old, but whatever. If you guys want me to review it, let me know. Either like in the YouTube comments or something like that, or like shoot me a tweet or something like that at Whitfield Report or at SamW_NGC. Um, so so we had a good Thanksgiving, and then Black Friday. I mean, I don't know. Um, does anyone, and be honest, I mean, I know that this isn't live, but be honest with yourself. Does anyone, um, go out there for Black Friday or shop online on Black Friday and not, and like, not buy, crap for themselves as well? Like, I know the whole idea of Christmas and whatnot is gift giving, and buying stuff for other people. Like, I get that, but like, you know, when you're shopping on Black Friday, right? In my case, I've never. I take that back. I've gone out maybe once, but most of the time I do all my Black Friday shopping online, like on Amazon, or like sometimes I'll go, onto like the Ray-Ban site, whatever, and usually like a bunch of websites will have like stuff marked down, and like I'll shop for other people to see, like sometimes, my mom will mention she wants this or that, off Amazon or the other thing, and I'll find it, but also like I'll find stuff that I want, um, like I'll find deals on stuff that I've wanted all year, and I mean, granted, like I know that the holiday season is coming up, but um, you know, um, I've also had like the experience of there was something I wanted to buy for Black Friday one year, like a few years ago, and I didn't buy it because I thought it would like end up under the tree somehow, and I had told the people that I wanted this. Well, so I never bought it on like Black Friday, and yet, and when it came around for Christmas, the specific thing wasn't under tree, and I wasn't mad that I wasn't mad that the person, I wasn't mad that I didn't get it, from like someone else. I was mad that I didn't get it for myself on Black Friday because it was like one of those things, like a gut reaction. It was like I really should get this now for Black Friday, and like maybe wrap it up for myself, or something, and or like tell someone I want it, as like my Christmas present, but I didn't. Um, so I bought some stuff for myself today, in addition to some gifts for some other people. I bought like a couple of non-Christmas things too. Like I bought myself another pair of Levi's. Um, I have I have three. Two of them I bought like a month or so ago on Amazon because I got like a really good deal, uh, and then I recently I got another pair of Levi's today because one of the pairs I've had for years and years and years, like I've worn a hole into the knee, and so I've still worn like those ones with a hole, but at this point like it just needs to go. So I found the exact jean at like a really good price. So I figured it's good to stock up on essentials sometimes on Black Fridays too. But yeah, in terms of the whole mob thing out there for Black Friday, if we want to talk about that for a sec, I don't know how prevalent that is anymore. Like I know that like back when I was growing up, like in the mid 2000s, I know that that was like a huge thing, and it was, and like people were worrying that it was a nationwide thing. I know that like crazy Black Friday incidents, like people being trampled, like I know that still happens in certain parts, but by and large, I'm not sure that happens, as much as the media says it is. I think it's another thing, like like everything, that they like to exaggerate. Um, Now, even without people being, hurt or trampled, or not, I just don't want to go out in those crowds anymore to go shopping or, get up at like 5 a.m. to get, deals on stuff. Are you kidding me? With Amazon, with so many of these, other websites selling their stuff on Black Friday, on sale. Um, you might as well do it like at home in the comfort, of your office, or in your living room on your iPad or whatever, and just do it in your PJs, or in your cozy casual clothes, or whatever. Like I said, I haven't done it in years, and I don't miss going out on Black Friday. It's just not something I'm into. So there you have it. Um, and honestly, I think as online shopping becomes more and more prevalent, Black Friday, at least at the stores, I think it'll die down in some areas. Maybe in others it won't. Um, and I mean, so here's the other thing about like those crazy like Black Friday shoppers that like trample people, or like fight over stuff in the stores, because like we've all read like the ridiculous stories in past years of like so and so was maced or pepper sprayed at Walmart, over like a dough maker, or like a toast oven or something, or like a PlayStation or something, stupid on Black Friday, right? Like we've all heard those before. Um right? And the media always likes to make it seem like these are incidents unique to Black Friday. But I guarantee you that, like, if a person is willing to stab you on Black Friday, for a toast oven, it's not like it's most likely not an isolated incident to Black Friday. It's not like they're going to, like behave 364 days a year and then, go completely apeshit, uh, on Black Friday, because of the, doorbuster sales. Like, psychosis doesn't work that way. Most, like, I bet you that the vast majority of, of the people, in fact, all of the people who are getting, like, really, stupid and, like, violent on Black Friday, they're, probably violent and crazy the rest of the year too, right? But because, outrage isn't sexy, in the media the rest of the year, obviously you never hear about incidents like that as much, unless, like, you watch TMZ a lot, or any of those, like, really weird, like, World Star channels or whatnot. I don't know. Um, so, um, that's my whole thing on Black Friday and Thanksgiving and the holidays. And I don't want to keep this, podcast too much longer. I know it's a holiday, but you know, I do want to just take a moment to say that in addition to my family and, close friends who have supported me in all aspects of my life, for years and years and years, I also want to take this, moment to just express how thankful I am for you guys who subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or Spotify, wherever else you get the podcast, and also subscribe to the channel on YouTube, um, and just support the show in general, whether you interact with me on, in the comments or in the live streams, or, just anywhere. Some of you guys are brand new to the show, right? You've only been here for a couple months, or even like a couple weeks. Some of you, discovered my show this year, right? Some of you guys go all the way back to my, very first podcast that I did back in like 2008, 2009. And, you've been following me since I was a teenager. Um, I've been podcasting for, it will be officially 12 years as of March. And, I just have to really say thank you to each and every one of you out there, regardless of where you have, of where you've discovered me in my podcasting journey. I really want to thank each and every one of you. Even my haters, for like discovering me and supporting me, and, for the haters in a way, kind of like pushing me to do better, and to kind of prove you guys wrong. When I was 14 or 13 and I started podcasting, no one knew what a podcast was. I barely knew what a podcast was. I started this thing out like as just like as like just doing like a junior Rush Limbaugh, impression, right? And then I got, like more into the politics side of things and did that for, like several years. I obviously, the obviously the Ben Shapiro interview in 2012 was when I really made my bones in the political arena, and as I've explained recently, that was soon after I met Jason, Veely, who really gave me a good start at his old podcast network, Junior Factor Nation, and went on to kind of form my own network after I left, after that whole group fell apart, and then my own group kind of collapsed, and this podcast has had ups and downs and various evolutions and revolutions of sorts, but through it all up and down, you guys have been amazing. Those of you who have consistently stuck with me and just been great supporters of the show, and to all the new listeners who are curious and still discovering my content and really helping to discover what I'm about. Uh, I'm still discovering what this podcast is all about. Almost 13 years later. And for those of you who ask, I still am going to cover politics. I still am going to do political commentary in the future. That isn't going to change. What's going to change is maybe the frequency of it. But this podcast has gone from being strictly politics and being strictly about being conservative to being, for lack of a better term, either about my life as a whole or conversations with my friends or with public figures if I have them on, or other podcasters, or and sometimes it's just about random conversations or monologues like this one. It's this podcast, for me at least, has kind of evolved into a little bit of everything. And obviously I'm listed under both the comedy and politics podcast categories on most of those platforms, but really this is just a smorgasbord of everything I enjoy, politics, pop culture, film and TV, music, long form interviews, all of that. So, nothing is really going to change, unless, God forbid, I die or something, in terms of the format. It's just going to keep to keep, getting better. That's my goal. And, this is the first year that I've actually successfully monetized the podcast and have actually gotten, advertisers through Anchor. And then, a couple of you have, donated, to my PayPal. And I got to take the show on the road to Memphis, Tennessee, and when I went out with my friends for YalCon, and that was a whole thing. And in fact, some of you actually were very generous, this when I did that this summer, and actually, more or less PayPal'd me my end of the expenses, for that trip. So that was, which was $150, and I'm just thankful for that. It's not like it's not like I've begged for it, but I'm still grateful, that people do want to support the show. And I mean, that's the other thing too, is I know that e-begging is kind of a thing. I try not to do that too much with this show, or with any of the live streams, but please know that if you guys do donate to the show, I really genuinely do appreciate that, and I do reinvest that money back into the show. Um, and I'm just looking to continuously improve the show and make it better. Um, and some of you have asked about me doing daily content, right? I've played around with this idea before, and I kind of go back and forth on it, right? For one, I'm still a part-time slash full-time college student, working on my major, uh, and so I'm pretty busy with that. And for me to create like fresh daily content, I think would be really hard for me to do daily at this point, especially um, with me basically, running everything from production to post production to uploading. Basically, like I run the whole entire gamut of things to do on this podcast. Like this is 100% independently produced, by me. Obviously, I've had help, from like Evil Eric with like the logos and whatnot, which I'm extremely grateful for. And obviously, people have helped me out with the music and whatnot. So obviously, I'm including people who have helped me with that. But in terms of like, putting out the actual content and whatnot, it's all me. Uh, and so I don't know if I can do all that and a daily show at this time. If I were to do that, though, I would think what I would do is I would put some shows behind a paywall, and I know that some of you are kind of grumbling about that. Um, but the reason being is, I do make some advertising money off the Anchor advertising, the Anchor sponsorships, but it's only like a couple cents per download, per episode, which is still, pretty good money, but it's not right. Um, and so if I were to do a paywall option, I've already decided that if I were to, it would be like three additional like audio podcasts per month, or per week, I should say, and it would cost $5 a month, like, and that would be it. I wouldn't rope you in with any like stupid, like mug club, dealios or free T-shirts or free mugs or anything like that. Um, I would just be giving you additional content for $5 a month if I were to do that on my own. Um, now the other thing I've often thought of doing is maybe having maybe like forming another podcast network, and like bringing some people on that I really like to do podcasts on the network as a whole and kind of have like a rotation of shows. Um, you know, uh, Not all in like one podcast feed, obviously, but to kind of help others promote their show. And so that's an idea I've run, around in my head too. But like I said, I've done that before with JFN and NGC and American Watchmen, and it's kind of fallen through whenever I've done that. So I'm not sure about it, but at this point, I know for sure I'm gonna finish out the year just doing the 2 shows per week as much as I can, and then we will revisit that road in 2020. So I really appreciate the enthusiasm and the fact that you guys want daily content, and if I had the time, believe me, I would love to, give more of that to you, um, for free. But at this point, I just don't think it's viable. So, uh, that's that. Um, I might do the occasional, like third podcast per week, still like I do sometimes, but it's, you know, it's not going to be like a frequent thing. So, anyway, folks, I think that just that covers that. So I will be on tomorrow on the live stream since tomorrow is Saturday evening. Um, so 10 p.m. Eastern Time, youtube.com/Whitfield Report. Oh, that is the one other topic. I knew there was one more thing I wanted to bring up before we, concluded this. And I'll try and keep this one short because I know we're approaching an hour. But, people are worried, and rightly so, that YouTube is going to start, just like, mass taking down channels and whatnot because of the new, viability, uh, rules, and because of the, COPPA, lawsuit and all that stuff. And, no one really knows what's going on with YouTube right now. It seems like there's like a new YouTube video, saying that, everything is going to change and they're shutting us all down and, they're taking everything, or, nothing's really going to change. Everyone's overreacting. I don't know what to think with all the YouTube drama. And honestly, I know this might seem weird, considering that I have grown the channel significantly, but at the end of the day, like, if my channel does get taken down, yeah, I'll be pretty pissed because of the work that I put into it, and I understand that. But at the same time, I mean, I've always been an audio podcast guy. I've had like my own blog and website. So like the only thing I'll say about, YouTube is like, are they overbearing with content? Yeah. Sometimes. Do they do stupid shit? Yeah. Do you like the fact that they're changing their rules yet again? No. Like, I get all the grievances that people have with YouTube, and I definitely think they're legit. But at the same time, I'm not freaking out because I'll continue to do this show, no matter what. Even if I have to go back to like doing, audio only, podcasts, for both Saturday and Thursday. I don't care. I'll keep, providing you guys the show, and we'll figure out the methods, to do the show. So I'm not worried long term, for the show, at least on YouTube. Who knows? It could be an overreaction. Hopefully, I'll be on YouTube next year. But if not, you guys, know where to find me, and I will, do my best to keep you guys informed. So, anyway, yeah, for those of you asking about the YouTube thing, I'm just getting my ducks in a row, but I'm not overly worried about, YouTube either. The show will continue on, as best as possible. So anyway, folks, I want to thank you so very much for listening to this. I hope you guys had a great holiday. I know I did. And like I said, I'll see you tomorrow for the live stream. Hopefully I'll have a review of The Irishman. I don't know if any guests will come on. I might have Apex Gamma come on and co-host again because that was always fun. And he's willing to do that. So, anyway, folks, I'll talk at you down the road. And from all us here at NGC Studios, have a good rest of your Thanksgiving weekend. God bless. God save this great nation. God, freedom, legacy in that order. And I'll see you for the live stream tomorrow night. Thank you and God bless. Hey there, folks. If you've made it this far to the end of the podcast, I'd like to thank you very much for listening to the show. You are the ones that make it possible for me to make an income from podcasting, and I greatly appreciate that just by listening to our show. You are helping us gain ad revenue. However, if you would really like to help support the show, I encourage you to please donate to the podcast and become a supporter of the show. You can head over to anchor.fm/Whitfield Report and click the support this podcast button and choose the amount that suits you to support the show. Or you can click the link in the show notes and it will directly take you to that page. If you can support the podcast, I really, really appreciate that. Anything that you can do to help out is greatly appreciated. Even if you can't afford to help financially support the podcast, I encourage you to please go on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or Stitcher and please leave this podcast a positive 5-star review. That really helps us out here at the Whitfield Report. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next episode.